Hey everyone. Sorry about the exceedingly long break between videos. How the filming works is I'll go back to Malaysia for a while, take lots of beautiful footage to show everybody, and then I'll edit it mainly in Australia and post from here. Now, on my last trip back to Malaysia, something very sad occurred. One of our handicapped dogs, Isabel, became very sick. And after 10 years of caring for her, we had to let her go. I knew that the first video I posted back in Australia would by right have to be about Isabel. And it was very difficult for me to revisit that memory. But anyway, here we are. And I'd like to share with you Isabel's story, why we chose to prolong the life of this severely handicapped dog, and how we came to the decision that it was time to say goodbye. Isabel came to us in 2012. A lady had discovered her, I think it was on an abandoned work site. This was a work site with lots of those demountable containers set up, and Isabel had been hiding under one of these containers in darkness for who knows how long. Now, she was on the brink of death, starving and thirsty, and when the vets examined her, they discovered that she had distemper. For those of you that don't know, distemper is a terrible virus. Any unvaccinated dogs are vulnerable to being attacked by distemper. What it does is it affects the gut, the lungs, and the brain in the advanced stages. And Isabel was well into the advanced stages. The virus had eaten away at her brain and caused her to lose a lot of her motor function. So even though she could still eat and drink, it was impossible for her to support herself. Her limbs would splay out sort of like a swimmer puppy's syndrome. Despite this, Isabel had a strong spirit. She was playful, she had a great appetite. It was just that the lady could not care for her under those circumstances at home. So we decided to take her. Because of where she was found, under the container, she would only feel safe when she was under something, under a table, under a bench. So we created an environment for her where she would feel safe without panicking or becoming violent with other dogs and people. This consisted of a long wooden bench, and we put a thick mattress underneath for Isabel to lie on. But then we also fitted a thinner mattress to the underside of the bench so that whenever Isabel bounced up and down, she wouldn't hurt her head. This was the only place where Isabel could relax, fall asleep, feel secure. Now, she was a lot of hard work. She would require multiple nappy changes every day. Every time she got excited, she would wet herself or poo herself, and would require cleaning. We'd have to make sure that she had enough fluids. So that involved visiting her several times a day to give her water because she couldn't reach the water bowl on her own. And of course, she had a voracious appetite. What kind of life was this for a dog, you may ask? After years of caring for these extraordinary creatures, I've come to realize that they value their own lives in a way that most of us will never understand. They very rarely take the time to feel sorry for themselves or to sulk. They'll do almost anything just to stay alive. And after all that Isabel had been through, fighting for her life at such a young age, it was the least that we could do to help her stay alive. And as long as she was held by us, as long as she had food and shelter, she was happy. In November of last year, when I went back to KL, I noticed that Isabel wasn't her usual self. Previously, Isabel had never been to the vet. She would freak out just to have a stranger approach her, so we never wanted to put her through the ordeal. And really, apart from her distemper, after she recovered from that, she was extremely healthy. The one thing is we never were able to get her spayed. If you have an unspayed female dog, they have a 1 in 3 chance of developing pyometra. Pyometra is an infection of the womb lining, and our worst fears were realized this is what Isabel had. The only way to fix it would have been to operate and to remove the womb, but being an anemic dog of Isabel's age, the brain damage that had already been done, she wouldn't have survived the surgery. So we either had to put her down or let her continue to suffer. And for us, the second was no option at all. When you have a handicapped dog who relies on you so heavily, it's not just a loss of that life, it's a loss of that spirit that was so determined to live on. And to finally put it to rest, it's a hard pill to swallow. To honour Isabel's memory, we moved her bench to a space where our volunteers and visitors hang out when they come. And in the purpose-built area that we made for Isabel, we put a pool there for our handicapped dogs. Whenever there is sadness over the loss of life, I find it most therapeutic to redirect that energy into bettering the lives of the ones that we still have left with us. I hope that all of you had a safe and happy festive season spent with family, friends, fur kids. Treasure these moments. See you next time.